Hello, everybody. Happy Monday and our weekly global travel update. Hope you're doing great. Had a great weekend. Let me tell you where we were to explain to you what I said the last time we talked to you from the island of Fakarava in the Marquesas in French Polynesia. I said I'd see you next week, meaning this week, from about 8,000 miles away. So now I'll explain how we got 8,000 miles away. We actually flew from Fakarava to Papeete. Then I needed to get to Honolulu to record our radio show, but there are no nonstop flights except once a week, and not when we wanted to go. It only happens once a week. So the only way we could get from Papeete to Honolulu was to fly all the way back to Los Angeles and crisscross the Pacific Ocean again, which we did, and then turned right around to come to where I am right now. Okay, here it is, 282 feet below sea level. The lowest point in the United States. I'm coming to you from the Oasis Inn, a beautiful property in Death Valley, California, where it's a balmy 92 degrees today. But the bottom line is it gets a whole lot hotter than that in the summer. But this is an amazing location, a beautifully restored historic hotel, which we'll be doing a piece on for our show, The Travel Detective, because it goes back to all those days of 20 Mule Team Borax and the wagon trains and the cowboys and all the craziness. So bottom line, we'll have some fun with that later on. We'll share with that on our radio show as well. And of course, our television show, The Travel Detective, as we do a piece on this hotel that has distinctly a very interesting and robust past. But let's go to the news. Lots of stuff happening in the news this week. Of course, the government shutdown continues, and it's getting worse a whole lot sooner than it's going to get better. Even if they fix the shutdown, we have more and more controllers calling in sick, more and more TSA agents calling in sick, not reporting to work. And I can tell you from personal experience over the last month, because the shutdowns happened over just about a month ago, I have not been on a single airplane, except for one. That was yesterday. That was less than 45 minutes delayed. In many cases, up to 2 hours delayed because they won't release it into the system because they don't have enough controllers to handle the flow. The flight that was not delayed yesterday, San Francisco to Las Vegas, because that's how you get to where we are in Death Valley, about a 2-hour drive from Las Vegas in the desert. That brings us here. But right now, the real problem is not just delays at the major airports like Newark and Chicago and Atlanta and Dallas and Los Angeles. It's delays in the smaller airports that feed those major hubs. If they can't get out and there's a ground hold, which there is in many cases, we had a situation just 3 days ago in Orlando. They were not accepting any incoming flights. How about that? But I've seen flights, not just in the United States, but flights leaving from overseas that will not be released into the air traffic control system over the Atlantic or over the Pacific for at least 1 to 2 hours beyond their scheduled departure time. We saw that yesterday when we got to San Francisco from Honolulu. There was a United Airlines flight that was supposed to leave at 6:30 in the morning. It was delayed until 10, only because of air traffic control and the flow into Newark. So the short-term solution is either the airlines have to cut their schedules or there are going to be more delays. Now, let's put this in perspective. Last Thanksgiving, a record period of travelers in the United States over that holiday period. This year, the advanced bookings are actually tracking 2% higher than that. So we're nearing a serious inflection point if the shutdown isn't stopped. So be aware of that. Now, how can you be proactive and at least protect yourself with information? Even if you never get to where you're going, at least you'll get a heads up. Well, there are 3 apps I recommend: FlightAware.com, FlightRadar.com, and Flighty. Each one of these apps will help you track not your flight, but more importantly, the plane that's assigned, the aircraft assigned to your flight. Because if it doesn't get to where you need to be to get on it, it can't take you where you need to be to go. And that's the real problem, especially for connecting flights. That's the issue here. By the time you get on your connecting flight to get to that hub airport, you've missed the connecting flight to where you wanted to go. That's what we're confronting now. That's an issue that's continuing. And it's also already happening at the TSA with delays there. When we were leaving Honolulu to fly to San Francisco, we had to bypass 3 separate TSA checkpoints that were closed to get to the one that was open. And what's already happening in many U.S. airports, they're closing the checkpoints for either fast track or pre-check for elite customers. This is happening already at Delta. And I happen to think that might be a good thing. When you start pissing off the 1%, maybe that's when the government shutdown stops. But right now, be aware there will be more delays at the TSA. And when I was in the Honolulu airport just 2 nights ago and asked the agents if they'd gotten a paycheck, I got a resounding and angry no, and we don't know how long we're going to stay. So we're reaching that inflection point as well. Now, of course, we were last week in Fakarava, in Tetiaroa, which is the former Marlon Brando island. An amazing story there, all part of our new show we're shooting for PBS called Hidden Tahiti. And now we're in Death Valley, heading back to the East Coast finally, after traveling for 5 solid weeks. But moving along from that, some other things to talk about, and that is, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If everybody has status, nobody has status. And of course, yesterday I saw 26 people on standby just to fly from Las Vegas to fly from San Francisco to Las Vegas. Standby for what? For an upgrade, for a seat that didn't exist. And they all had status, right? Here's another figure. This will put everything in perspective. If the airlines are selling short-term status, selling it, then why are you earning miles to get to a status where you can't get the upgrades? 20 years ago, only 13% of Delta Airlines first-class seats were sold. That left 87% of the seats available for upgrades. Pretty cool. Today, 88% of Delta's first-class seats are sold. And the other 12% would be ostensibly available for upgrades, right? Not anymore. Delta is now selling those upgrades within 48 hours of a flight's departure to anybody who wants to buy it. Not their mega million milers exclusively, but to anybody. We saw one that was for sale last week, an upgrade for $26.88. You know what? Why would I join the mileage program and get miles I can't redeem or use for an upgrade if for less than $27 I can buy an upgrade? Something's very screwy here, and their obsessive rush for more revenue is destroying the very loyalty they're trying to get with these loyalty programs that, let's face it, don't reward you for your loyalty the way they were originally defined and sold to you as. So be aware of that. Okay, let's say hello to some folks here. We're scrolling up. Jim and Harriet, they were number 1 today from Richmond. Nice to see you guys. Loretta's saying hello from Lansing, Michigan. All right. Oh, by the way, speaking of the Midwest, I have news about my University of Wisconsin football players. It's really good news. They had a bye week. They lost the opportunity to lose. But there's always next week, and they'll lose next week. All right. Evelyn saying hi from Tel Aviv. And by the way, American Airlines announcing they're going to go back there with nonstop service starting in 2026. And I believe Delta's going to go back as well. Okay, Melanie saying hello from Miami, where the weather is stunning today. Thank you for that report. Tayo's in Maryland. And here's, I think it's Jag saying, good morning from Tulsa. My son is an air traffic controller. The community has been great. Yes, they have. The airport, as well as other business individuals, are bringing food to the tower. You realize what this woman just said? You're bringing food to the tower. You're treating the tower as a charity case. This is so wrong. I mean, I'm really glad they're doing it based on the situation that we're reporting. But come on, guys. I mean, if the air traffic controllers can't put food in their mouth or pay their bills, do you want these guys working your airplanes? I mean, look, I didn't ever want an overworked air traffic controller working anything, right? When these guys are being forced and these women are being forced to do mandatory overtime because the staffing issues were so bad before the shutdown. Now I want angry air traffic controllers and hungry air traffic controllers. Oh boy, sad state of affairs, but thank you for letting me know about that. Camilla is saying cheers from Tucson, as she always does. Patrick saying good morning from LA, home of the world champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Yeah, a word about the series. I mean, you had two amazing teams playing 7 amazing games. The performances were stellar. I mean, were you on the edge of your seat? I was, and not just in the last game, in game 6 as well. That amazing double play at the end that ended and forced it to game 7. You know, it reminded me, of course, of the 1986 Mets playing the Boston Red Sox. Edge of my seat for all 7 games, a series the Mets were never supposed to win. We all know what happened in game 6 with Bill Buckner and Mookie Wilson. And if you need me to explain it, I will. But the bottom line is it reminded me so much of that game, except the Mets won that game at home. The Dodgers won it on the road. So congratulations to the Dodgers and to the Blue Jays. I mean, 2 stellar teams that deserve to be in the series. Okay. Joyce saying going to Europe mid-August next year. When is the best time to purchase airfare? Well, tell me where in Europe you're going to go. That's important. Then I'll give you a little bit more fine-tuning answer. Lorena James says, I love Arlon Airport in Lansing. The flights coming in from Detroit, Chicago, and Breeze from Florida are all coming in 20 to 30 minutes early. Oh, nice to know. Well, again, you don't have a lot of traffic in Lansing. That may help. But depending on where those planes need to go will determine if they're going to be released back into the system. Okay, Jones saying hi from the Bay Area. Priya saying watching from Chicago. David saying hello from New Zealand. Okay. All right, a Kiwi perhaps. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Camilla, for that comment. Gail saying hello from Pennsylvania. I'm flying to Germany on November 28th by British Air. I'm getting nervous now. Well, what day is November 28th? Let's go through this, right? Today's the 3rd, right? That's 25 days from today. So you're flying basically Thanksgiving. Am I right? If you're flying on Thanksgiving, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 13, 20. No, you're flying the day after Thanksgiving, I believe. We'll figure this out, but you should be okay. Remember, flights to London on Thanksgiving shouldn't be a problem. They don't know from Turkey or dysfunctional relatives. Okay. Joy is saying, are flights leaving from Jamaica back to the States yet? In a limited way. The infrastructure is still messed up down there. We're still dealing with power grid issues and flooding, but they should be back on track in a limited way, or I should say in a less limited way by this Friday. But keep in mind, that doesn't mean the hotels are open. Many of them have decided to shut and basically do a lot of repair work and may not reopen again until February or March. There's been substantial damage both in Montego Bay and in Negril. So be aware of that. Here's another Jamaica question. Travon says, I had plans for Jamaica. What other Caribbean islands do you recommend to visit at the end of November? Well, depends on how far south you want to go. I'm a huge fan of Grenada. I'm a huge fan of Barbados. These 2 islands tend to be south of the hurricane belt, very far south. Aruba as well, by the way. And you should be okay there. Again, we're dealing with an extended hurricane season. You know, the old hurricane season was basically September, October. Hurricanes are now starting in July, and they're ending maybe end of December, early January. That's a little scary. So I can't guarantee you anything about that, except to say if you want to stay further south of the traditional hurricane belt, you have a better chance. Okay. Alexander saying he's heading to Rio de Janeiro on Wednesday. All right, I want full reports. Terry saying hello from Battle Creek, Michigan. The fall colors are amazing. You know what? Here we are with global warming. I'm amazed that fall colors are extending this far out into the year. Usually they're September, October. You got fall colors in November. Okay. Kate's saying greetings from gorgeous Charleston, South Carolina. It is gorgeous. We love Charleston. No high rises. And the best way to get to Charleston for me is to sail in on the Intracoastal. Try it sometime. It's great. Rashid is saying good day from Pakistan. Wow. Greetings from the mountains of Karakorum. Wow. This is our first call in a long time from Pakistan. So thanks for joining us. All right. Let's keep going here. I'm going to scroll back up. And in fact, I've got some other stuff to talk to you about. One of the reasons why we're seeing lower airfares right now especially on international flights, is because the United States is increasing the price of a visa. Very difficult now for a lot of people to afford it. Now you add that to the original drop off in traffic from Canada, from Great Britain, from Germany, from Denmark, and they got seats to fill. And you're going to see those fares drop through the end of January. And even though the US dollar is weakened again against some foreign currencies, we're still not attractive if people can't afford the visa to get here. That's revenue that's lost in the US, by the way. Speaking about revenue that's lost, let's run the numbers in Las Vegas. Las Vegas is finally waking up, and we're not talking about how many people are going, how many people are not going. We're talking about the expense of going to and being in Las Vegas. That's right. I mean, when they're charging you $26 for a bottle of water, one hotel charged somebody $50 to charge his laptop. What is that all about? It's $48 for a cheese pizza. What kind of cheese are we using? Are you bringing the whole goat? So right now, you're seeing some of the hotels decide to either adjust their resort fees. Resorts World has done that. You're seeing other hotels readdressing the true outrageous pricing of a bottle of water in your room. You know, we do go shopping. I can buy a case of bottled water for what some Las Vegas hotels are charging for one bottle. There's something very, very wrong about that. And you don't have to roll the dice to know that that's a losing proposition. So let's see what they're going to do. But some hotels are actually finally starting to come to grips with that. All right. Now, where are we? Oh, yeah, here we go. I forgot something here. Now I've got it. Speaking of nickel and diming, there are certain hotels right now, and this is going to start hopefully a longer conversation between all of us. And it's the word tipping. When I'm in a taxi cab in New York, right, or any taxi cab where I'm paying by credit card, at the end of the trip, up comes the fare and 4 different boxes I can check to tip. Okay, here's my question. What am I tipping for? That I didn't die in the cab? Right? That we weren't involved in an accident? Am I tipping because the guy wasn't on his phone talking in a foreign language at the top of his lungs? Was I tipping because he actually helped me if I had bags? The answer is, I'm not denying anybody the opportunity to make money or to be rewarded for great service. But the expectation of a tip is what's getting me angry, especially when they're doing nothing to deserve it. Same thing at hotels right now. There are some hotels, we found one Hyatt in particular, that when you go to check in at the front desk, there's a suggestion for tipping the front desk staff. For what? Doing their job and checking you in? What message does this send? It's clear, it's obvious, and it's disturbing. It's sending a message that the people who work at these hotels, the people who drive the cabs, or even the Ubers, are not being paid enough by their own employers. The other night in Honolulu, we were driving to the airport, and the Uber driver said, "How much did they charge you for the trip to the airport?" And I said, $60. And he said, "You know, they only pay me 24." What is that all about? Of course, I tipped him for that simply because it was painful, right? And he was a nice guy too. But the bottom line is, conversely, I had an Uber driver 3 days earlier who wouldn't help me put my bags in the trunk of the car. And when I told him that was not accepted, he threw me out. He said, "Get out." Well, of course, I have his name, I have his number, and he hasn't heard the last of me yet. His name is Tio, by the way. Ta-ta, Tio, but we'll get to that later. Obviously, he didn't get a tip. Here's another tip, Tio. Be nice to your passengers because it's going to go reverse the tip, right? You didn't do your job, and you want a tip for not doing your job? Crazy, right? Okay. I'm done ranting on Tio for the moment. But What is the opportunity? I mean, when you go to Starbucks, do you tip? They make a space for it. What did they do to deserve the tip? Take your order and deliver it. Did they sing you a song? Did they perform a special dance? Tell me, what did they do? Are they not paying their people enough at Starbucks? The coffee's certainly more expensive. Something's wrong here. Again, I want to be very clear to the service workers of America. I don't want to deny you anything. I just want to make sure we get our definition of terms in order. Not just with me and you, but with you and your own employers. There's something wrong here when you're being asked to tip for something that is part of the definition of the basic job. All right, enough rant about that. Now, oh yeah, let's go to some other questions. Here's one. Ron says, I'm looking to travel to New Zealand in February. I wanted to fly to Christchurch and tour the South Island and then drive up North Island and fly out of Auckland. But I see that you have to fly into Auckland first to get to Christchurch. Wondering what you would recommend? Okay, you're going to be there for 2 weeks. You're starting in Christchurch, so you're flying south to begin with. If you're going to be south in Christchurch, then you have to basically fly north to Auckland, and you can do that from Christchurch. So I don't know what the issue is. Tell me more. I'm a little confused. Okay, here's one from Brad. The cost to fly from Chicago to Cancun, December 29th through January 3rd. The cheapest flights I can find are over $2,000. Well, Brad, it's New Year's in Cancun. That's their high season. What do you expect? And you're only going to be down there for 4 nights. A lot of resorts at that time of the year are asking for a 7-night minimum. So you're getting hosed on airfare. I don't know what else to tell you. He said, do you have any hidden tricks up your sleeve? Well, yeah, I do. I do. Which airlines are you looking at? You're looking probably at American, United, and Delta, right? You didn't tell me where you're flying from. Oh, yeah, Chicago. I'm going to give you another airline. Volaris. Volaris. They fly to 23 U.S. cities from major Mexican cities. And their airfares are very, very attractive. Are you going to fly nonstop from Chicago to Cancun? You're not. You're going to fly through Mexico City or Guadalajara. But the fare will be a lot less than $2,000. Check it out. Okay? Doug says, a year ago, my wife and I were on an Atlantic, Canada, New England cruise. It included Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, south all the way to Boston. Loved all those locations, but think we enjoyed Maine the most. Yeah, well, you know what? That was our show last week on the radio. We love Maine. We love Maine. It was part of a show that we're shooting. That was our radio show. It's part of a longer television piece that we're doing called Hidden Maine. And there's a lot to see in Maine that most people don't know about. It's really that cool. Let me scroll down a little bit more here. Hold on a second. Judy says, what about tipping for housekeeping in hotels? Now, these are the heroes, folks. We love them. We love the housekeepers. Hardly ever see them, but they are the unsung heroes. I try to tip at least $5 to $10 a night per night that I stay for the housekeepers. But here's what I also do. If you're coming back to your room at certain times of the day, you might actually see them in the hallway. Engage them in a conversation. You want to know why? They know everything about the hotel. They'll bring you extra pillows, right? They'll bring you extra towels. They'll give you hints. And they love their jobs. And they're hard jobs. Do you know what a normal routine is for a housekeeper at a major hotel? They have between 12 and 14 rooms to clean in their shift. That's a lot. And they get to see the rooms where they're occupied and pretty messed up. So I will tell you this, one housekeeper spent some time with me and taught me how she makes the bed. Wow, I learned a lot. Now I'm a killer bed maker. But most importantly, they need the money. Many of them are holding down 2 jobs. So the answer to your question, Judy, is Always tip the housekeepers, but don't just leave the money there. Write them a nice note. Let them know their work mattered to you. They deserve it. Absolutely. Okay. Okay. Kate says, the fee for the taxi ride is for a service. We don't need a service fee gratuity on top of that cost. Everything should be included. Well, let's be relative here. If I'm traveling with a lot of bags and the cab driver opens his or her door, comes back and helps me load the bags, I think that's nice. If they take me on a different way into town and show me things I didn't know about and engage me actually in a conversation that I want to be engaged in, and I learn something, I think that's nice. I have no problem tipping them. But if they're spending time on their phone talking in a foreign language and disrupting my ride and not doing anything to help me, I'll tell you an interesting story. It happened to my wife. She was coming back from the grocery store and had too many bags, so she decided to take a taxi. And it was only going to be about 9 blocks in New York City. So the cab pulls up and she's holding 4 or 5 bags. The guy doesn't get out of the car, never stops his phone conversation, just pops the trunk. So she puts everything in the trunk. Then she gets in. He pulls up at the end, and she didn't tip him. And he said, "Why aren't you tipping me? You must tip me." She said, "I must tip you? What did you do to deserve the tip? You never got off your phone, and you never helped me with my bags." He said, "You must tip me. It's the law." She said, "It's the law? Great. Let me call the police right now. I hereby stand to be arrested. Please call the police and have me arrested for violating a law that you and I both know doesn't exist." And he got very angry. Too bad there is no law. There's a tradition to reward people for great service. No problem with tipping, but if they're just going from A to B and doing nothing to help you, Kate, I think you're right. Just thought I'd say that. All right. Ty was saying, service people are severely underpaid in the U.S., and even though tipping culture is not huge in Europe, I'm seeing a lot of European countries say stuff like, tips are welcome now. You know what? Tips should always be welcome. They shouldn't be, but they shouldn't be expected. They shouldn't be demanded, and they shouldn't be monetized. How many people have gone to a restaurant recently, and when the bill comes on your credit card, they're giving you a suggested tip amount based on percentages? Or they're saying for parties of 6, we're putting in a mandatory tip. Okay, I sort of get that one because I believe in full disclosure. But to tell you what to tip, oh my God. Sorry, it's like not a good idea. All right. Gail says, don't get me started on tipping. Apparently I did, Gail. Have you seen what the cruise lines are charging for tips? Outrageous to ask the passengers to supplement the poor wages they pay their workers. Gail, I think you're absolutely right. It depends on the cruise line, but how many people who've taken a cruise get that envelope in their stateroom, basically saying that this is how much you have to tip? It's insulting. First of all, we know how underpaid those members of the crew are. Number one, we know how hardworking they are. We know that 90% of what they earn, in many cases, is sent home to support their family and children at home. I'm acutely aware of that, and I always tip. What I resent is being told to tip. And who's telling me to tip? Not the workers, but the cruise line. Why? Rhetorical question. All right. Leonard's saying hello. Oh, from Tanzania. And he says he misses me. Leonard, I miss you too. We are going to get back and hopefully see you again soon. Gail says the Las Vegas hotels are copying the cruises, nickel and diming passengers. Yep. Okay. Our good friend Macon, who is a great tour operator in Tanzania, is heading there November 22nd for his. Are you telling me it's your 53rd climb of Kilimanjaro? Wow. Okay. Here we go. Joy is saying going on a cruise in August France, Spain, and Italy. When is the best time to purchase airfare? Okay, this is the actual, okay. What you can do is you can always go on Google Flights. There's an app that they have there. It's a provision of that app that can track the fares for you. So if they drop precipitously or more than $100 or $200, you can then cancel the flight, get a credit, and go out and rebook it and hold that difference as a credit for another flight. But as long as you know when you're going now, you don't lose anything by booking it, as long as you track the flight prices so that you can pivot quickly if they drop. Okay? All right. I think it's time to let you know about our show that premieres. I talked about this last week. It's already on PBS. Check your local listings. But on December 5th, so a month from this Wednesday, it premieres on Amazon Prime and Apple TV Plus. That's our latest release, Hidden Malta. And here's a premiere. Tease.
Get set to journey to a place where the ancient and modern world come together at work and at play. 3 small islands where enduring history is built, sung, and lived, and where that history is strong and runs deep, and all of it waiting to be revealed. I'm Peter Greenberg, and this is Hidden Malta.
It's already premiering on PBS. Check your local listings. And again, as of December 5th, you can also find it on Amazon Prime and Apple TV Plus, along with many of our other Royal Tour and Hidden specials. So I hope you got a chance to do that. You may have heard me talk about this a couple of weeks ago. It bears repeating. There's an amazing documentary, a disturbing documentary you need to see called Trade Secret. We have information of that on our website as well. But this ties into our photo of the week. Let's run it. Congratulations to Ginger Dixon. She took this photograph in Churchill in Manitoba. We watched this female in the cup swim toward the shore, then climb across the rocks. She writes, Churchill may be the most amazing place I've ever visited. We saw sparring bears, cubs, a bear being choppered into the holding facility, the only polar bear holding facility in the world. And to top it off, we saw the Northern Lights. Nicely done, Ginger. And if you think you've got a photo of the week that qualifies, then you know what to do. Send it to photocontest@petergreenberg.com. And if we agree that it's like Ginger's, it goes right up there next to Ginger's. Once again, we're coming to you today from the Inn, the Oasis Inn in Death Valley, California, the lowest spot in the United States, and well worth the visit. In fact, not far from here, I passed a road sign that made me feel very old, but it brought a smile to my face. Zabriskie Point. Does anybody know what that means or where it is? Well, if you want to have some fun, go back to a movie that came out in 1970, directed by Antonioni, called Zabriskie Point. Beautiful movie, beautiful stars. I had the biggest crush on the female lead, true. But bottom line is, it's here, and you got to go see it. And you will see our show about the inn here, the Oasis Inn at Death Valley, coming up later this year, early next year, as part of our Travel Detective series, Hotels of the Past. This hotel has an amazing, amazing Western history, and we'll share that with you as well at the time. A little housekeeping note, our radio show this week, from a few thousand miles away as well, we're coming to you from Manchester in the United Kingdom. So check it out Saturday, starting at 10:05 Eastern. And if you can't find it on your local stations, not a problem. Go right to our website, petergreenberg.com, hit the radio icon, and we live stream it as well. I want to thank the folks here in Death Valley at the Oasis for having us. I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank Anthony for handling the boards. We're going back out into the desert right now. By the way, dark sky tourism, this is the place to be. Late at night, you see everything, and it's eerily quiet, but beautifully quiet. Well worth the visit as well. Have a great rest of the week, everybody. And by the way, next week, from another distant location way far away, of course, we're just traveling a lot. Why? We love getting miles we can't redeem. Just kidding. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in a couple of days.